I have been on a journey to be someone. And along the way, I learned the secrets. It's your friends, the people you choose to spend time with. My life, health, and wealth have been changed forever by the people around me. And now it's time for you to meet my friends. This is the Be Someone podcast with Michael Hong. Welcome back to the Be Someone podcast with Michael Hong. Today I'm here with my man, my friend, Abraham Gray. Abraham, how you doing, brother?
Doing good. How you doing?
Yeah. Me and Abraham know each other through masterminds and national meetup groups. He's in Atlanta. I'm here in Houston, Texas, but we've crossed paths a lot of times over the years. We know a lot of the same people. We're doing deals in the same communities. So I said, Abraham, brother, you got to come on here, tell us your story, tell us what you're doing in real estate now, and tell us how you got started. So, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit before we get going?
Yeah, so I'm Abraham Gray. As we just talked a second ago, I'm 50 this year. So I've been doing real estate. Well, I started with business. I've been doing business for 35 years, and I've been doing real estate since 1998. So was that 27 years or so? Yeah, so I've been doing that a long time. I've been doing lending for the last decade or two as well, and those are the three main things I do: real estate, business, and a lot of lending.
I did not know that you had been in the game that long, man. I knew you were a veteran, but man, you've been in since the late 90s.
Yeah, yeah.
That's wild. I was completely unaware of that. See, that's why I love doing this
I've been in
podcast, man. You
business
learn.
since like 1989, 1990. Like,
Wow.
yeah,
So, you're in Atlanta, as I said earlier, and you're keeping your deals kind of in the Atlanta area.
yeah. So I always did deals just in the Atlanta area for a long time, and then maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I started doing some stuff out of state, and I probably bought, I don't know, a dozen or so deals out of state or far from Atlanta, and it just became a hassle. So I ended up selling everything and just sticking now to Atlanta. I have a good system here. It works. I know people that were doing it all over the place. I want to kind of try it, and I could see how it could be okay, but it's definitely a lot more work for the systems I already have in place.
Yeah, the you can find a good deal. I've met a lot of people that have said the same thing. You can find a good deal in another market and the numbers work great, but when you have to stand up the infrastructure that you already have placed in another market, that cost and sometimes it's not even a cost issue. Sometimes it's just renting mental
Oh
space
yeah,
in your head.
yeah. It's both. It's for sure a lot more work. Is like, can you make more money doing it? Yeah, potentially, but it's a lot more work. Is the extra money worth the extra work? And I'm in Atlanta. Atlanta is huge, and there's plenty of deals here. There's unlimited amounts of deals here, so you don't really have to go anywhere else.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Houston, man. Several people I've known in the last couple of years, they've gone nationwide or
Yeah,
they've picked out some Midwest markets. They're doing great. They're making money. I just haven't taken my show on the road, man. When you're in a large U.S. city, man, you don't have to go
yeah,
anywhere
yeah.
else.
Houston's the fifth biggest city in the country. Atlanta is the sixth. We're right behind you.
Oh wow, wow! I didn't know we were that comparable.
Yeah, yeah. It's good.
I've been to Atlanta before, but I've never made an investment there. I've never really dug in deep in Atlanta. But let's back it up a little bit. Can you tell us about what first got you into real estate, and if you remember, talk about your first deal?
Yeah, no, I remember. So I started business a lot before real estate. So I was making a lot of money doing business, and I started a business, had a few other businesses, and I was doing really well, making a lot of money. And a friend of mine was like, "Why don't you diversify and get into some real estate?" I was like, "Okay, I just don't know, that much about it. Just show me." So I did a couple of deals with them. I bought some properties, and ever since then, it's just been buying tons more. So yeah, the best thing to do before you get into anything is have someone that knows it well, and have them teach you, or someone that's successful, have them show you what they did and have them show you what to do. And that's what got me into real estate. Someone that knew what they were doing, that showed me, and then I just learned from more and more people that did other stuff, and that's how I got to do what I'm doing now.
So, how did you find your first deal?
So my first deal was in 1998, and it was a home that I bought to live in. So that was my first property that I bought that I actually lived in. And then right after that, I bought like three more rental properties. 1998, 1999, I bought a bunch more. So I still have some rental properties that I own that I bought in 1999. I still own a few that I bought back then. And in the beginning, I used to, put down 20% and get a loan for the difference. So actually, some of those ones I bought in 1999 are I owe very little on them because I still have those same loans. So they've amortized over 26 years now. So I got about 4 more years left, and they're done. But I have some of those. But then I started buying a lot of properties for cash. Then I started doing a little bit creative financing. I bought some seller finance. I bought some sub twos. So I bought, I learned from different people and started doing all kinds of different strategies. But my first few, I just did traditionally, where I put down 20%, and maybe even
Bought
my
them off the
primary.
MLS.
Yeah, yeah, they were probably. Now that I think about it, they were probably all on the MLS because I didn't really have a creative way to buy stuff back then. Now some of the ones I bought, I found in like newspapers and like Craigslist type places. So maybe not everything on the MLS, but they were listed somehow.
I see. And I usually then ask, how did you exit your first deal? But you still have them.
I still have most of my stuff I bought. I don't. When I own a rental, I just kind of keep it forever. It cash flows. If somebody makes me a good offer, I'll sell it, but I'm in no like hurry to sell it. And but everything's for sale. If somebody wants to buy and they give me a good price, I mean, I'll sell anything.
So with the depreciation schedule from the IRS, single family goes 27 and a half years. So for all those listening, you get to take this nice little gift from the government called depreciation every single year on every single asset. It could be different for different asset classes, but on single family, it's 27 and a half years. You get to depreciate the property. So do you plan that once you hit that and deplete your depreciation schedule, are you planning on selling the property then? Or are you still going to keep it?
Not really. I mean, keep in mind if you sell it, then you gotta recapture it all back. So I mean, you can do 10, 31 exchanges and stuff like that. But I have like a bunch of properties I buy every single year that I do accelerated depreciation on. So I have really crazy amounts of tax write-offs every year. I buy at least, I mean, $5 to $10 million worth of properties that I keep. So I just kind of use that for the current year to wipe out most taxes, and then the other stuff is just cash flows. I mean, keep in mind, I'm going to own them free and clear. They $2,000 rent, so it's just free money.
Wow. Yeah, your portfolio really cash flows once you pay the debt down on the property. That's amazing. You've held on the properties that
But the
long.
other thing that instead of selling it, I can just go ahead and get a new loan on it. Use that money for other stuff. That way
That's right.
I don't have to recapture the depreciation, and I still own the property, and I'm just now using money without paying interest on it. Instead of selling it, I'm using a loan.
That's right. I've met some multifamily guys that do exactly what you're talking about. They buy a couple apartment complexes, keep them forever, and just keep refinancing them
Yeah.
because there's no tax. Debt is non-taxable.
Yeah.
So when you take proceeds from a refinance, it's non-taxable.
That's what
But
all
I
the rich
haven't.
people do. They do it even on a higher scale. Instead of just taking money out of their properties, they take money out of their businesses and stocks and stuff like that. Like I know people like Elon Musk and all them. They borrow, when he bought Twitter, I know he borrowed, billions of dollars off his stocks, and doesn't have to pay taxes on any of that money he gets.
That's right. And I bought a rental property several years ago by putting a line of credit on stocks that I had, and that worked out great. Yes, you have to pay interest on the loan, but it was a dividend-paying stock, so the
Yeah.
dividend was paying the interest on the loan. Took that money and I put it in a single-family deal that went really, really well. Don't have as much stocks these days. I've kind of liquidated a lot of my retirement and a lot of my stock accounts because man, you're just never going to get the return in the
Yeah.
stock market that you're going to get from real estate.
No.
So, what does your business look like these days? How's it changed? What are you getting into now?
So I have
What's
a
it look like when you buy a house today?
Yeah, I have a lot of businesses, but if we want to talk about the real estate business particularly, I have a bunch of different things I do with real estate. So I have a fix and flip business where I buy 12 to 15 properties a month right now that I'm fix and flipping. I have probably another 2 to 4 every month that I buy at least that are like buy and holds. Those are the ones that I keep long term, and usually creative deals that I depreciate and cash flow a little bit. The cash flow when you first buy properties, rentals, they don't really cash flow that much. You don't make a lot of money in the beginning, but just over time they appreciate, and with quantity you end up doing okay. But definitely got to have reserves back for all the stuff that happens. New roofs, HVACs, that happens a lot, catch you off guard. But so I have the rental portfolio. I have like 200 and something, rentals. I probably have closer to 300 doors, but 300, but like over 200 and maybe 220 like properties. And then I like single family the most. I have some multifamily, but very small multifamily, maybe like 4 or 8, type units. I used to have some big ones, like 50, 100 plus, but I didn't like them. So I sold them over the last few years. So those are my two things, the rental and then, of course, lending. So I do a ton of real estate lending. So everybody in Atlanta that does fix and flips, I loan tons of money out. I always have at least $25 million out on the street on fix and flip loans. And, probably like 35% of that is my money. And then the other 65% are investors' money that I give good returns to. And that I've been doing that for a long time. That's going well. So those are my three real estate type things that I do. And then, of course, a lot of creative finance.
Wow, you gave me a ton of notes. I was writing down things that I want to talk about here, and I've got so much here. I don't think we can go over them all in the time we got.
Yeah.
So 12 to 15 fix and flips a month.
Yeah.
That is a lot. Do you have your own GC, or do you just have in-house
I have
contractors,
my
or what do you do?
in-house guys that work for me like full time for decades now. So when I say 12 to 15 fix and flips, what I'll say is I buy 12 to 15 properties that need to be fixed and flipped. I would say that I actually do 4 to 5 of them all the way through. And then the other 8 to 10, I just do like a really small rehab, maybe like $1,000 to $4,000. And then I sell it to another investor that's going to finish it. So I can't do them all. I don't have enough crews to do 15 at a time or 12 at a time, but I could do 4 or 5 at a time easily. And I also don't want to tie up. So every fix and flip I buy, I use my own cash for. Like I have millions and millions and millions of dollars tied up all the time on all the properties. So like if I was to do all 12 all the way, I would just have crazy amounts of money tied up that I don't want to have that much tied up. So I buy everything for cash. So I own everything. I've never wholesaled a deal, but after I buy it and own it, then I'll do like a little bit of work, and sometimes I'll sell it a week later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, whatever, to another fix and flipper. But I'm selling a property I own.
So you wouldn't call that wholetailing because it's not going to the end buyer, but are you listing it on the MLS or just marketing it within your
Yeah.
network? How
So
are you doing that?
yeah, so it's not hoteling because I don't put it on the market. Correct. The only ones I put on the market are the ones I actually fix up to put on the market. So these, what I would say is, it's almost like wholesaling, but like I own them, so it's not wholesaling. It's I have like a couple really good friends here in Atlanta that are some of the bigger dispo wholesalers, and I just give them all my properties that I don't want to rehab. So the reasons why I don't want to rehab a lot of them are either because they're in the wrong areas. So like most of what I do is kind of like in the north side of Atlanta, or at least northeast, or a little bit northwest. But most of the south side stuff, or in the inner city of Atlanta, I don't really rehab those because it's just kind of we don't like that area that much. But and then on the total west side, I don't do that. So when I buy stuff, I'll buy anything that's a good deal. But if it's in an area that I don't work at, or my contracts are too far away, those are the ones I always sell. And then a lot of the bigger jobs I sell, because I can do a $30,000-$40,000 rehab in a month or less. And if I'm doing bigger rehabs, like full guts, everything, they take a lot longer. So I'd rather be able to do 3 or 4 medium or small ones than only 1 or 2 big ones, because I can make more money doing a bunch small. So I sell a lot of the stuff that needs a lot of rehab or in the wrong areas for me.
Yeah, one of my first mentors told me, and your story reminds me of this. He said, sometimes a quick nickel is better than a slow dime.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of sounds like what you're doing with some of your jobs there.
100%.
So you're
I agree with that.
so how are you sourcing this many deals at this stage of your career?
I mean, I've been doing this, as you know, for 27 plus 28 years. So everybody knows me in Atlanta. That every wholesaler pretty much knows me that gets stuff. I mean, there's always people that don't know you, but like 90% of people know me. I go to all the meetups here. I'm always posting stuff on social media, all the Atlanta groups. We're in a bunch of different types of groups together. I'm in other groups also, and just I show people. One of the first things you said before we got on was like, oh yeah, I see you post this and post that, and I see you're doing different things. Well, guess what? If you see it, who else sees it? Everybody else sees it. So when everyone else sees what I do, they naturally want to sell me stuff if they can make money on it. A lot of people, refer people. I have attorneys, closing attorneys. I have loan officers. I have, real estate agents that give me pocket listings. So everybody sees my post, and I have a lot of people are like, man, I'd rather just sell it to you because I see all the stuff you do, and I'd rather give it to you for a few $1,000s less than this other person. I know you're going to close, and I think it would be a cooler story for me. So I just get a lot of deals. My deal flow is crazy. I get hundreds of deals offered every day.
Yeah, I've told a lot of new wholesalers this, that surety of closing is an asset. And so when I talk to other wholesalers around here and they're showing me a deal, they're like, I've got someone that's willing to offer me more. That's fine, but I'm using my own cash. I'm performing on it.
Yep.
I'm not co-wholesaling it or anything, and I can close in my own cash or private money. I'm not begging a hard money lender for a loan. And so surety of closing is an asset that I think a lot of newer wholesalers don't really
Yep.
put much value on. Someone can give you a higher number all day long, but if they don't perform, you don't get paid, and your seller's problem doesn't get
Yeah.
solved. Yeah. So, what does your team look like these days? You're doing a lot of business. How do you structure that?
So I have someone in my office that helps underwrite all the deals to see if they're good or not, and then I'll just double check it afterwards to make sure I agree. I have someone that does all the accounting and bookkeeping and selling of the properties, once it's finished. And then I have someone that's in charge of all the rehab. And I have a ton of crews, and that's pretty much it. We don't really need much more than that to do the real estate side.
Yeah, and on the lending business, are you hypothecating the notes? Are you selling the
I
notes, or
keep
do
everything.
you keep everything on the lending business? You're keeping the
Yeah,
notes, and you're funding it with your own cash and partners' cash. Are you
yeah.
raising from self-directed IRAs? How are
I
you
have
doing that?
about a third of it is my cash, and about 2/3 are investors. So anybody wants to get a good return on money, they come to me and they're like, "Look, I see all the stuff you're doing. My loans are super safe. They're all first position. They're all within, they're all in Georgia that has like a 30-day foreclosure. If someone doesn't pay you, you get the house right back. And plus, every single house I loan them a little bit less than what I'd pay. So if they don't pay me, I'm happy to take the property because I would have bought it anyway for that.
Yeah, to get a little technical here, what I look at it when people are doing lending is like they're selling puts, but they're selling puts on property instead of stocks. And for people who don't understand stocks and options, that might not make a lot of sense to them. But I've had the same thing when I go to my private lenders. I say, hey, it's worth X. I'm asking for Y. And then they give me Z, which is a little bit
Mm-hmm.
less. Because every smart lender, when they make a loan, they should look at it as, am I comfortable owning this property
Mm-hmm.
and owning it at this price?
Yep.
So if you're new and you're lending and you're not partnering with experienced people like Abraham or myself, you really got to take that lens of, am I comfortable taking this property back at this price? And so I'm glad that you do it the right way, because I've noticed through the real estate cycles and over the years that there's a lot of lenders in my market, so probably in yours too, that they're hard money lenders and they get a bank line of credit and they'll kind of get a little risky and they'll lend a little too much or on rougher properties or things they probably shouldn't. And then when the market shifts, the hard money lender takes a lot of these properties back,
Yep.
and at a price that nobody really wants them at. So I'm glad that you're like a very prudent
I
conservative.
haven't lost money on properties in years. In the beginning, I lost some money like long time ago, but you learn from your mistakes and you just don't do that stupid stuff.
Yeah. And I also say, I keep bringing it up on this show, but for people that are interested in this, there's a strategy that I see that I've had my private lenders do, where they move their money into a self-directed IRA, and they use that self-directed IRA or self-directed solo 401k to invest in, or to lend on the deals with people like Abraham and myself. So if you're interested in learning more about setting up a self-directed IRA, or if you're self-employed and you have a self-directed solo 401k, DM me the word IRA on Instagram. I'm at Michael B. Someone on Instagram.com. DM me IRA, and I'll send you the people that I use. Great company.
Yeah,
And
a lot of
so,
people that lend us money lend it from IRAs.
yeah, yeah. When you told me you're not using bank lines and you're not hypothecating, I already knew a lot of it's coming from retirement accounts. Because, hey, guess what? When you lend it from the retirement accounts, it's either tax free or tax deferred. So your investors making more money than they realize when they lend to you with their self-directed IRA. And if anybody's interested in learning more and they're in Atlanta, how would they get a hold to you to talk more about working with you on lending?
Well, email's best, but of course, follow me on all the socials. I answer everything, every message on Facebook, Instagram, um, YouTube. But if you email me, my name's Abraham, Abraham, and then it's 6 letters at MMA like mixed martial arts, then ATL like Atlanta.com. So if you message me, Abraham at MMAATL.com, I respond to everybody, every day pretty fast.
And what's your IG?
It's Abraham Gray Official.
Abraham Gray Official. That's right. Um, so you said something interesting. MMA Atlanta. Is there any special meaning with that MMA?
Well, I've done martial arts my whole life. So I actually own dozens of businesses right now, and I own a whole bunch of martial art gyms. So that's the smallest domain name I have. It's 6 letters. So I just wanted to email what's the shortest. So it's actually all the people in my gym have an MMA at ATL. That's our domain. But yeah, no, I've done martial arts forever. I had the 6 fights, amateur fights back. I started late. I started the fights. I was 38 in my first one, but from like 38 to like my early 40s, I had some fights. But no, it's just fun to stay in shape. Keeps me. I was real fat before that, and now I'm just a little bit fat.
Yeah, so I was going to ask about the other businesses. I see your backdrop. For those not watching on YouTube, you've got logos of several businesses behind you.
Yeah, my
Is there any?
whole office is full. I have like, I don't know, 100 logos all over my office.
100 logos, and those are companies that you either partner in or own yourself?
Yeah, yeah. I have partners in mostly everything. I have a few that I don't, but yeah, yeah. So the ones behind me that you can see, Team Octopus, that's actually one of my martial art gyms. PML Mastermind, that's where I teach people how to do lending. Trees Plus, that's like a tree cutting service. Bear the Hatchet Axe Throwing, where we have 17 locations of that all over the country. But yeah, I have just tons of different businesses.
And so when you reach the notoriety in your market of someone like Abraham, you'll have realtors, wholesalers, other investors bringing you deals to the point where you have to have someone in your office underwriting them all day long and figuring out what works best for you. But if somebody was kind of new and getting started in the real estate investing space in Atlanta or Georgia or anywhere in the country, how would you advise them to go out and find and generate
Well,
leads
definitely
and
the
find
first
deals?
way is to get into every single Facebook group in your region and just post what you're looking for, see what other people are posting. Every time somebody posts something, put your email, and then not only will that person email you, everyone that's looking at that post, a lot of wholesalers will look at everyone else's post. So you could get on a ton of people's wholesaler list just by posting what you want to do and then responding to other people's posts. And then go to all the local meetups. There's local meetups in every decent sized city, like every month. Like in Atlanta, there's multiple a week. So if the more you go to those, the more connections you make, the more people are going to send you deals. And then on top of that, post all your successes, post everything that you're doing, everything that you want to do. And by people seeing it more and more, they'll start giving you stuff. I mean, there's so many people I know that do like certain things and they don't post about it, and none of their good friends even know what they do. And some of their good friends use their competitors because they don't know that they do it. If they just posted and let people know what you did, then they would have a lot more business. And then not only would they have business from their friends would refer everyone to them. So by keeping silent, you're killing yourself.
Yeah, secret. A friend of mine's a really successful realtor, and he says secret agents don't get paid. And I said, yeah, I'm stealing that because secret investors don't get deals.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so and I talk to a lot of new people here in my market, and they're really afraid to post online about anything related to real estate. So a little exercise I've had them do just to get over their fears is just go to your stories on Instagram or Facebook because it's only there for 24 hours. It's not permanent. It's not a big commitment, and just post something. Post a selfie of you making a stupid face. Post something or underwrite 10 deals. Go message all these wholesalers, get on their dispo list. They're going to send you deals that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Go underwrite and practice underwriting. Underwrite 10 deals and then post on social media. Underwrote 10 deals today. Didn't see anything I like. If you have anything, send it my way. It's very low commitment to start underwriting deals and posting about it if you're totally new. go read a book. When you're done, take a selfie with the book, post it on the story, say, just finished this book, um, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or whatever book you want to talk about, and say, do you have any recommendations on what I should do next? I find lots of people with money and ambition or time, and they'll do everything I ask them to do to get started as a real estate investor, but they won't post on social media. And that's like the first thing they should be doing.
The most important.
Yes. Man, I love that. And so have you ever done direct mail, cold calling, text blasting? You ever done anything? You've done all that marketing
Yeah, I had
channels?
wholesale. I had an in-house like acquisition team. We didn't really wholesale, but we buy it for ourselves. But yeah, I did all that, and when the market was really hot, it was worth it. And then it kind of died down the last year and a half or so. I quit doing it because it wasn't as worth it. I was just doing better, just buying off wholesalers myself. But yeah, I mean, I've done it all.
And so with you mostly buying through referrals and from wholesalers, how would you advise someone? So let's say I'm a newbie wholesaler, right? And I got a property under contract and I send it your way, and you look at that price and it is just unrealistically high. It might be as high or higher than the ARV or after repair value of the property. How would you advise someone listening to this, if they were you, how would they handle a wholesaler sending them something that is just completely off base on the numbers?
So if I was, are you asking me if I was the wholesaler, what I would do, or if I was the person getting a shitty deal from a wholesaler?
Yeah, if you were the person getting a rough deal from a wholesaler, if you're trying to go out there and source deals from wholesalers.
If it's that bad, I hit the delete button. If we're like somewhat close or within 20% or less, I mean, I might make them an offer. But like, if they're just like stupid, it's like I have. So for me, I have too much. I have too much lead flow to like respond to everybody. But like, if you don't have that much lead flow, then just offer people whatever you would offer them, no matter how crazy off you are. I don't do it if we're that far off because I just think it's a waste of time. And sometimes you might insult someone, which I don't really care about insulting people, but like sometimes, I don't know. So I would say if you have the time to do it, just make offers. I have seen people push stuff out for 200,000, end up selling it for 130. I'm like, holy shit! Like, why'd you put it out so high? Like, I deleted it. Like, but some people do that, so it's worth making crazy offers if people are way off. But yeah, I would say that for me, if they're like 20% off or more, I pretty much delete it.
Yeah, so anytime, and for new people listening, anytime you're buying from a wholesaler, their numbers don't mean a whole lot. You need to do your own due diligence, learn how to underwrite, figure out what your rehab and your rents are. Some wholesalers don't really know how to estimate these numbers. They're just really good at finding people who want to sell. Other wholesalers are not really being honest with you. And so I might be wasting my time, and I should take more of the Abraham Gray method. However, I'm always comfortable getting on the phone with them and talking them through it. Hey, when do you need to close? What is it? What do we need to get this deal done? Here's my number. This number doesn't work for you. Great. Once you've got something near this number, give me a call. So if anybody new listening to this wants to source deals from wholesalers, don't be afraid to get on the phone with them. But I will say this, if they're from a bigger disposition company, I think it's less likely you're going to find a deal that works for you. So here in Houston, we have several big name companies. They spend more time and money on disposition than they do on acquisition. And they're kind of looking for someone who needs depreciation or write-offs, or somebody who's new to the business and just wants a deal. But if I'm talking to a smaller or newer wholesaler, I'll spend more time with them, helping them out, giving them resources, walking them through the deal. Do you guys have large dispo companies in Atlanta?
Yeah, of
And if
course.
so,
We have
have
the
you?
same ones that you guys have in Texas. I mean, yeah, it's hard to buy from them, like you said. I've bought stuff from some here and there, but it's hard. Like New Western's probably everywhere. I don't know if you have
Yeah,
them there. Yeah,
yeah,
they're
they're
probably a
here for
big one,
sure.
but their deals, for the most part, are super tight if they're even good enough to buy. Um, but they have a good buyers list, so they have people that overpay for stuff or that have different reasons why they want it, like you said.
Yeah, and have you ever gotten a deal that made sense from the big dispo houses?
Not in a while, but I used to. Back like 3, 4, or 5 years ago, I used to, but not that many. Once in a while, but over the last 2.5 years, almost nothing.
And if anybody's listening to this and they're interested in diversifying, like spreading their money, let's say they've been successful in real estate, they've made a lot of money, and they want to go out and do the Abraham Gray thing and start partnering with all these business. We have like hatchet throwing and a tree service and MMA. You said you partner on everything. Did you go out and find these partners and put in place capital, or did they
They're
find
mostly
you?
partners that I've done other stuff with that I've known for a long time, but I do get some new partners every year or so.
Awesome. And are you actively like buying businesses or
I would
looking to
say
partner in new
I'm
business?
I'm definitely actively buying, but I'm not aggressively trying to buy. So I'm not like going after looking for them now. It's like they have to like hit me in the head right now.
They'd have to hit you in the
If
head
I'm
right now.
aggressively buying, I would be buying a lot more. I'm too focused on the real estate right now that but like if real estate died, I'd be way more heavy in business.
Mm. And so the foundation of your portfolio is real estate. That's where you make, that's where your interest is. That's where you make a lot of your money, is
I
mostly real
mean,
estate.
over the last 4 years, probably I've made more money in real estate, but over the course of my life, I've made way more money in business. It's just real estate got really hot the last 4 years, so you're able to make way more than you were previously. So I just saw the opportunity, and it's a little bit easier too. Like, yeah, it's a business, a little bit more work. It's way more profitable in the long term, but it's a little more work. And I just didn't want to work as hard. So real estate's easy, compared to business.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Part of the reason I got into real estate is I was working for a Fortune 500 company, and we were buying mom and pop companies and rolling them into our bigger enterprise, and then leveraging them with the new rating and the new financials of the combined entity. And there was a lot of moving parts. I was involved in the acquisitions, and when I learned about real estate, I said, wow, this is like 100 times more easy. It's very simple. Like rent goes in, debt service and cash flow comes out.
Yep.
Over time we replace things. And so when you're comparing all the moving parts and all the permits and regulations and everything of a big business, man, real estate was so much easier for me when I kind of compared that against my W-2. And I made more. There were several years where I made way more money in real estate working a few hours a day than I was working my full-time job building $1 billion publicly traded company for a CEO and his team. So I agree with you when you said that real estate is way easier
Yep.
than running a business.
Yep.
Um, so what came first for you, the real estate or the businesses?
Business came way before real estate.
Business.
I started business about 7 8 years before, probably 8 years before I started doing real estate.
Oh, really? What did you get started in your entrepreneurial journey?
So when I was younger, I was a big sports fan, and I collected sports cards. So I turned that into a business when I was 15. I turned that into a big business. I was making a lot of money when I was 15, but like once I turned 16, I was killing it. Like I was making a lot because I was able to drive. I was able to do more stuff, and I was aggressive and hustled a lot.
So you were flipping cards and doing small business stuff when you were 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm trying to think of the name as you were talking, and if someone can remember this person's name, put it in the comments below. I was listening to an interview with an Indian tech magnate who is personal friends with Charlie Munger. His name escapes me, but I can see his face. And he said when he invests in companies, he looks for CEOs that were doing some kind of business in their adolescence. He said, because our brain, when we're born, our least developed organ is our brain because our head has to fit through the birth canal. And so what develops the most in our life is our brain, not the other organs of our body. And so he said neuroplasticity in our brain slows down as we age, and he wants to find CEOs of companies who were doing business when they were 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. He said they have a different lens in how they see the world and their brain works differently. So when you said you were doing small, I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that that was your history at all.
Mm-hmm.
So when you said you were doing business going back that far, I was thinking about that speech of the gentleman who's a multi-billionaire, and he looks for CEOs that had that background going as a kid. And I think the story is like the reason he likes Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger is that Warren Buffett was like reselling comic books and had lemonade stands and was doing anything he could to make a nickel when he was a kid. So, and I have the similar upbringing. My father had a small swimming pool construction business when I was a kid, and I was involved in that. And I was always trying to find, like, Pokemon was hot when I was a kid. I was
Yep.
selling Pokemon cards and anything I could. So I think that our brains are wired differently when you're involved in business at a young age. And my goal is, my wife and I don't have kids yet, but that's coming up really quickly, is that we're going to get our kids involved in real estate and business as soon as we can. We're not going to force them to do it. They can go to college, they can go to the military, they can have whatever lifestyle they want, but we just want to help them form that in their brain early on, like the value of a dollar and where money comes from. So I'm like really impressed to learn all this stuff about you, Abraham. I did not know half of this stuff we were talking about here. And so I'm going to ask you a question I should know the answer to. Do you have children?
I have three.
You have three kids. All right. And have they been involved in the businesses at all?
Very little because they're still in school. I have a 16, a 15, and a 13-year-old. But once they're out of school, I'm sure they'll get pretty heavy into it. Right now, it's too hard because you have to spend a lot of time on it. They see a little bit what I'm doing, but either they can't work during the week, and it's something that so mostly I'm here at the office during the week mostly.
Yeah, it's a big topic on me and my wife's mind right now. I'm in a multifamily mastermind here in Houston, and they all are people who've been doing multifamily for 20, 30 years, and they all have kids of different age groups. And they're always like, the discussion is always coming back to, how do we get our kids involved without forcing them, keeping them interested? And it seems like I think of somebody there's someone here in Texas who is she's a fourth generation, or maybe it was a fifth generation real estate investor. So 4 or 5 generations of her family have been Houston or Texas based investors. And she always tells everyone relax, because she said my son was really into it until about 5 or 6 years old, when she said, "Mommy, come on, get in the car with mommy." And he says, "Wait, where are we going?" And she says, "From that moment, I lost my son." Fast forwarding to her journey, where she said that she thought real estate was terrible because her parents were real estate investors. She thought it was a horrible career. And when she hit 31, she made that pivot and came running back and left her corporate job. So she always like tells me and us, so I'll tell you this: you might lose your kids between the age 6 to age 31, but eventually they'll come back into the fold. Um, so that's just a topic that's really heavy on me and my wife's mind right now, is legacy. Because I don't know what, I'll ask you this instead of me giving you my idea. What is your idea of legacy or generational wealth? Have you even had time to think about that, because you're running so many businesses? Do you have an opinion on that?
I mean, obviously, at some point, when I'm dead, I mean, whoever does takes over will take over. I'm assuming the kids kind of act like they think they're gonna like it. So, I mean, legacy is just showing them how to live a good life, whether it's real estate business or something else, and just see what they're happy doing and make sure that they're successful doing it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because what legacy I used to think I understood what generational wealth meant. And after networking and being personally involved and at the houses of people and being involved with the family of a lot of high net worth people in Houston, I used to think like legacy and generational wealth was putting money in a trust and paying your kids like a dividend every year, or paying for their expenses.
Yeah.
I've come to learn, I'm highly opinionated on this, and some people challenge me on this. Statistically, we're going to live longer than we think we do, or think we are. We're going to be healthier than we think we are. You just told me you're 50, but brother, you're just getting started, right? I'm very bullish on lifespan and our health. However, the current statistics show that when we pass away, our kids are going to be about 40 years old. That's a national average. So I believe that you don't leave a ton of money to kids, because by the time your children are 40, they're not going to change who they are. They're either good at business, they're good at what they do, or they're not. In fact, if someone is 40 years old working just struggling and surviving and getting by on an average job and an average lifestyle, and you drop tens of millions of dollars in your lap, that could actually ruin their life. That actually causes divorces and can spur like alcohol, gambling, and drug addiction. And so I've kind of changed what legacy and generational wealth meant for me. Is I would like to be able to just impart skills and knowledge on my children, and then leave them very little, if nothing, and leave everything off to charity. Because By the time I die, statistically, they're going to be 40, and their life is not going to change much between 40 and when they pass away. So
Depends how long you wait till you have kids. How old are you?
I'm 36.
36. Your kids might be 20 when you die. Shit. Unless you hurry up.
Yeah. My wife is in the medical field too, so I'm like really, I'm bullish. I used to be really like down on myself to think, oh, I'm in my 30s, and in my 20s I didn't have a Ferrari and a mansion and everything social media shows me, and all my friends had kids in their 20s and early to mid 20s. But I'm kind of adopting the Gary V mindset here because I've been watching advances in medical science, and we're seeing average lifespans go up, that we're going to live longer than we think we are. We're going to be healthier than we currently think we are. And we have to stop basing our life plan on the best example we usually have is our parents. And our parents like retired in their 60s, drew Social Security. And then depending on how old you are and how long you're looking back, they would die in their 70s or they would die in their mid 70s. People aren't dying like that anymore. That's not the world. So we shouldn't be holding our model of our life up to our parents and grandparents because we live in a completely different world. We're going to live longer. We're going to be healthier. I'm putting that on you, Abraham, that you were saying you're 50 and you're fat. You're going to live longer and you're going to be healthier than whatever your current estimates are, especially since we tend to estimate it against our parents and grandparents. Um, I'm speaking that positivity into everyone's life that's listening here about that. But you're right. I am 36, and the time has come. My wife and I are working on it right now, having our first kid, especially now that I'm real estate retired. So I'm going to move to the last section of this podcast, the last segment we do. I ask all the guests this every episode. So usually, and I don't think this is going to apply to you, but I tell the audience this, that whatever course you're on in life, we think it is a course of our own choosing. It's usually a course that society has given us, like our parents or where we were born or where we went to school, or like our cultural background. We usually think our ship is sailing on a course that we chose, but it's usually a course that someone else designed for you. And when I talk to entrepreneurs and real estate investors, I usually find that before they got involved in business and real estate, there was a book that changed their course, either that got them into real estate and entrepreneurship or changed how they did it. And so I ask every guest in every episode, what real estate or business book changed your course the most?
Yeah, and I've never read a book in my life. Honestly, I really haven't. Even through high school, I never read a book. Like, I just like made shit up or had someone give me the cliff notes and tell me what the hell happened. But I'm too impatient. And reading a book, I look at a book, I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot of damn pages. That's a lot of words. Like, how long is that going to take? I don't even have time to watch TV or do a whole lot of stuff. On the weekend, I'll go out, spend time with the family, go to maybe a movie or something. But I don't even have time to do a lot of other things, let alone add reading a book to it. But so I've never read a book. Like when I was a little kid, I'm telling you, maybe like 5 years old, 6 years old, 3 years old, Cat in the Hat maybe was the last book I read. It was a really good book. I like rhymes. So yeah, I mean, it kind of influenced me to like, the music better, the rhyming and all that stuff. But no, I just haven't read a book. Now, I know a lot of the good books because people are like, oh, I just read this book. I just read this book. So if like you tell me a book, I'll be like, yep, a lot of people have told me that's a good book. I have no idea what the hell's in there besides them telling me it's about this or this. But I think reading books is probably pretty good and important for people because I know a lot of people say how good it affects them. But I would rather just have someone just tell me, like, why read the whole damn book? Just get to the point. Get to the point and just tell me what you want me to know. That's the way I am. I'm not patient enough to listen to all the stuff in the beginning and get through hundreds of pages. That's crazy.
Yeah, when we were scheduling this podcast, I was like, "Can you recommend a book?" And he said with a straight face, "I've never read a book."
I haven't. I've never even listened to ebooks. Like I don't know. But I watch a lot of movies.
So you don't listen to audiobooks when you're driving around or anything like that?
I've never listened to an audiobook ever either. Yeah.
Wow. There's man, is it called Blinkist? There's some kind of service where they take a book and they condense it down to like 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's called like the Blinkist or something. Somebody who knows what I'm talking about, comment below, or like it's starts with a Q or something. I've considered getting that, but it's like imagine like an audible version of the Cliff Notes, you
I'd be
know.
down for that. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, yeah, I forget what it's called. Somebody DM Abraham on Instagram the name of the service where he can get a 6-hour audio book and like a 15-minute
Yeah,
summary. So we
15.
can get this guy listening to books while he drives around. This is going to be the first episode where somebody recommends Cat in the Hat on my podcast.
Hey, it wasn't a bad book.
Hey, it's a banger, man. I read that when I was a kid, and I'm in my 30s. And the kids these days, I mean, that's a bestseller, right?
Yeah.
If New York Times rated kids books, that'd be a
I had a
bestseller,
book
right
around the
there.
same time called like Pat the Bunny. That was actually probably the cooler book because it had like fur in it and little like cotton. It was like really really cool. Pat the Bunny kind of. Those are the only two books I remember having when I was little. But man, they were the bunny one.
You're like me. You're an experiential learning type. You want to get out in the field or get out in the yard, and you just want to do it and experience it the same way you like the textile feel of certain books when you're a kid. You're an experiential learner.
But I will buy courses. I bought plenty of courses to learn stuff, and I would just watch the videos. And I don't know. That's sort of like a book to me, but I don't have the patience to sit there and read it.
Yeah, so you do watch like YouTube videos or courses and stuff like that.
Yeah, not for long periods of time, but like a little bit here, a little bit there. I bought plenty of courses, and I kind of just go through them really fast, or the parts that I really want to know, I'll go through in more detail.
Brother, whatever you're doing, it's working because you're a natural born entrepreneur, man.
Yeah,
If you were in a different time and different place, you might be the CEO of a billion-dollar publicly traded company because you have that same background.
yeah. It's too boring to be a CEO. I don't know. I'd be bored.
Yeah. That'd be a good name for a book that you could write, that you could speak into a microphone and let someone else write for you. It's called Born CEO or
Yeah,
something. That'd be a good title for your book.
that's what it would
All
be.
right, let's keep it moving here. So, I'm a big believer. I got to get the laugh off my face from thinking Cat in the Hat, man. That was awesome.
Don't
Um,
underestimate that. That's a lot of people's first good book.
that's right. That's right. So we're big believers of the Go Giver here. Another book Abraham hasn't read,
But I've heard of
but
it.
he
I
knows.
heard a lot of people like it.
Yeah, and you and I are in a community where we form the actions we take, and our mastermind is built around the Go Giver.
Yeah,
So I know you're a believer in it, even if you've never read the
100%.
book.
I believe in it for sure.
Yeah. So we're big believers in the Go Giver here, and so I like to tell everybody on every episode, when you were born, your parents had to give to you long before you're capable of giving back, and if you work a traditional job, you work for 2 weeks or more before you receive a paycheck. So if anybody listening to this believes they're going to hold firewood in their hand and look at the fireplace and say, "Give me the warmth first, and then I'll give you the wood," you're going to have a very cold winter. So I ask every guest on every episode, what can you give the audience today?
Yeah, so the go giver mentality is where you help people as much as you can. And then that's kind of what I always actually do. And it always ends up coming back to me tenfold. So I'm always helping people around here. And that's probably another reason why I get so many deals. People see how genuine I am and how I'm willing to help and answer questions and do all that stuff. So if anyone has any questions about really lending, real estate business, and you hit me up on in my email or social media, I definitely respond to everybody, and it's always me that responds. And then what happens is, because I do all that, I end up getting a lot of deals. I end up getting I end up making more money in different ways. So it always comes back around. Like if somebody wants to do something for me, just get me more deals. Figure out ways to get me more deals.
All right. So if anybody has a question or if they have a deal in the Atlanta area, how far out do you go from Atlanta?
I go an hour in every direction, so 50 miles east, north, west, and south from the middle of Atlanta.
All right. So if anybody has that, you can reach out to Abraham. What was your IG again?
IG is Abraham Gray Official.
Abraham Gray Official on Instagram, and your email one more time.
It's Abraham, Abraham, and it's MMA, like mixed martial arts, and ATL, like Atlanta.com.
Awesome. And what can the audience give you today, brother?
They can just give me more deals. Like I said, if you know somebody that is selling a lot of properties in Atlanta, or if you have properties in Atlanta, give them my contact. If you know people that need to borrow money for loans, if you know people that just want to do deals, whether it's business or real estate or anything, let's connect and figure out ways to make money together. Like when I make money off someone, they make just as much as I make usually. So I like it when everybody makes a lot of money.
That's right. And if you're a wholesaler, there's nothing better than knowing like the most anxious time in a deal is when you put a property under contract
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, is this thing going to close or not? Because you haven't made money until the thing sells. So, how awesome would it be if you're an Atlanta wholesaler just knowing, hey, man, this property is going to close. There's going to be someone who's going to perform. I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
And we never have to forget our seller's problem is going to be solved.
And if you're
Because
in
anybody
Atlanta,
who's
come by. We have meetups like almost every week. I mean, there's definitely multiple meetups every week, but I go to at least 2 or 3 a month in Atlanta. So if you're in Atlanta, figure out what days you're here, what meetups are here, and we could hook up and connect.
do you put on your own meetups?
I don't put on my own meetups, but there's like one particular one that I kind of speak at most of the time. So I'm kind of like a co-host, but it's actually Eddie Chargers meetup here. So but he
Oh,
hosts
it's
two
Eddie
meetups.
Chargers meetup. Well, plug it, man. How do people find Eddie Chargers meetup in Atlanta?
I mean, hit up Eddie Charger. It's EDDY and then Charger. Just ask him, friend him, Instagram request from him, and ask to get joined to the list. And he has 3 a month. So there's one that I'm kind of like at pretty much every month, and then the other two I try to go to, and then there's a few others I try to go to. But he is, he's in sub two. He's actually one of the first people in Atlanta that joined sub two. So he became like the person that had the biggest OG. So he has a lot of the connections and stuff, and he's been hosting meetups for years and years. And yeah, they're good. They have 50 to 80 people pretty much most of the time.
Wow. So if you're in the Atlanta area, find Eddie Charger on Instagram or Facebook, friend him and go to the meetups. You can see him and Abraham Gray. I love Eddie Charger. We're getting him on the show.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, he is an OG and he's been down since day one, man. I love Eddie Charger, man. He will give you the real situation, man. There
sure.
is no fluff and no BS when you're dealing with that guy.
Yeah,
All right. And so we told everyone where they can find you, and if anybody wants to reach out to me, I give out my cell phone number on every podcast. Text me, do not call me. I get so many spam texts I won't answer. It's 832-301-9672. If anybody has any deals you want me to look at, or if you have any questions or want to get better connected here in the Houston market, shoot me a text. And I'm on Instagram at Michael B Someone, and all platforms. I'm at Michael B Someone, my Instagram, my YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. And this was Michael Hong with Abraham Gray on the Be Someone podcast. Until next time.
yeah. I'll see you in Texas tomorrow if you're around Dallas at all.
All right, let's do it.
You're gonna be in Dallas.